The 2016 Republican candidate, Zach, clap your applause. Republicans.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. To all of my fellow Americans who are joined with me here today, I'm honored to be standing before you as the Republican candidate for the upcoming election.
Go Zach!
I am Zach Reef, and I am running for you, the people, and your rights. I believe that following the traditional values of our founding fathers will mend our country that once stood with strong principles and a clear vision for the future. Putting America back on track will restore our unity and strength, and I will do nothing but aim for that goal. Today, I would like to discuss a few of my plans for the future. To begin with, there have been major concerns addressing the state of our economy today. The reality that America is currently $19.4 trillion in debt is the direct result of a leader who did not understand how to limit federal spending and instead, Obama, and instead has been responsible for leading America into exceeding its national debt record. I will take the steps to reverse this crisis by enacting cuts to federal spending in the U.S. A huge part of this problem arises from the tremendous amount of money Congress poured into our welfare programs, especially money that we did not have. I do believe that welfare should be available for those who are deeply in need of financial assistance, but there has to be a limit to it. Too much of that money is being spent on those who are currently and already back on their feet and no longer need so much aid from the government. Our current president has made their lives comfortable, and that is not necessarily the goal I am aiming for. I don't want people suffering from poverty to be barely back surviving off of what we give to them, but there needs to be a point where they start working themselves back into the middle class. The debate about income inequality, and the fact that there is a separation in society resulting from it is an issue I want to address along with this topic, because of a lot of Democrats tend to say that we don't do enough to help the poor. This is not the case. We are simply giving a little push for everyone to understand that money is earned in this country and shouldn't be taken from those who worked hard for it. Taxation should be equal, and the wealthy will not need to overcompensate for the welfare programs. Also, this idea of raising the minimum wage is not what America needs right now. As it is, the unemployment numbers have risen and will continue to if there is an increase of minimum wage. Smaller businesses that are already struggling to maintain their profit won't be able to do so if they're forced to pay their employees more and eventually have to let some of them go. Minimum wage was not designed to be a living wage. We need to set a limit to it as a reminder of its purpose before unemployment becomes a bigger problem. Moving on to our weak foreign policy. ISIS. Why are we allowing hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrants into our country, whom we know nothing about, and letting them live comfortably? A lot of them are coming to the States and putting in no effort to be an American, while we are giving them aid the second they plead for help. Who are they? I'm not against immigration, but there is a correct way to go about it. And if they want to be an American, they need to gain citizenship and learn our language.
Go Republicans!
If we don't do anything about our
Back for president! Got my vote! Got my vote!
If we don't do anything about our border security, there will be more problems with terrorism and drug wars, which will bring unnecessary trouble. We need to do background checks, and we need to keep our country safe by knowing who is entering our borders. The current gun control issue in America is extremely constricting for the citizens that bear arms. In California, you are not allowed to use a magazine that exceeds 10 rounds per cartridge. Additionally, you may not have a finger press magazine release button, but instead must use a magnetic pin to release the clip. Rules and restrictions such as these are constricting the throats of our people. These rules not only are unfair to the people, but they trample on our Second Amendment rights. If I'm elected as the next president of America, I will get rid of these restrictions while keeping background checks in place.
Boo. Boo. What are you doing?
The safety of the people is of higher priority to me, and I aim to preserve the people's rights and keep them safe at the same time. When it comes to America's energy policy, I believe that we should drill on our coasts because we have unimaginable amounts of oil. So much, in fact, that it's drifting on the surfaces and washing ashore. But our current president is doing nothing about it. Most of the oil rigs were removed because they were supposedly posing as an eyesore to the people. I believe that we should drill on our coasts and even take a step further by controlling the oil in the Middle East. We have the power to do so. We are not utilizing our military forces to take advantage of the oil awaiting for us in Iraq. I also believe in using coal energy and nuclear energy. Coal is extremely useful, and there is plenty of it to provide the energy we need. Nuclear energy is also extremely efficient, powerful, and essential in the functionality of our nation, that we cannot let it become undermined. We should not be afraid of building more nuclear power plants because they generate great amounts of energy to be used by our country. The reality is that we need to be aware of how it can potentially damage our environment, but not let it hinder us from obtaining what we need in the end. It all comes down to the precautions we take to avoid any accidents, and I assure you that I will take it in my own hands to be responsible for the safety of these factories. With that, I ask you Americans to vote your conscience. This nation needs a strong leader for what lies ahead, and I will prove myself to be the only nominee that is this dedicated to the well-being of our country. Thank you for your time today, and don't forget to vote.